I'm showing that it is 7:50. I'd like to convene the Dartmouth Board of Public Works. First, let's take a roll call. Mr. Gagne.
Present.
My name is Robert Almy. I'm the chair. The board is a three-person board. Therefore, two of us comprise a quorum. This meeting is being held remotely and it is being recorded. Good morning, Cody. Good to see you.
Hey, Rob, how are you?
I'm
Morning,
doing
Cody.
fine.
Hey, Mike.
We were just commiserating on the lack of rain, but
Yeah, that's for sure.
that's a whole different issue.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'd like to do is move down onto our agenda. First item is to approve and accept warrants. Do I have a motion?
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. Gagne to approve and accept warrants for the bills payable period ending August 4, 11, 18, 2025. The chair seconds the motion. All in favor, Mr. Gagne?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Item is approved. Next item is approve and accept payrolls.
I make the motion that we accept the payroll presented.
We've had a motion by Mr. Gagne to approve and accept payrolls for the weeks ending July 26th, August 2nd, and 9th, 2025. The chair will second. All in favor, Mr. Gagne?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Item is approved. The next item on our agenda is to adjourn to executive session under Chapter 30A, Section 21A3 to conduct strategy session in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel. So the board will now enter executive session. So with the help of community communications, that would leave myself, Mr. Gagne, Mr. Haddad, who is the town administrator, and Mr. Barber.
I would make the motion that we go into executive session for the purposes as so stated by the chair, Rob Allen.
We have a motion to adjourn to executive session by Mr. Gagne. The chair seconds. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
The chair votes yes. So we will enter executive session. So okay. So we are back in our regular session. Do I have a motion to reconvene?
I would make a motion that we reconvene the meeting of the Board of Public Works for August the 14th, 2025 at this time.
I have a motion to reconvene by Mr. Gagne. Chair seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. So we are back in our regular session. Our first order in down to old business, the comprehensive wastewater management plan. Tim?
Yeah, so we have been working on the working document draft RFQ for the comprehensive wastewater management plan to include all comments from DEP, from CZM, from other departments in town, and we have completed, we say, a 99% draft of this document. I did forward it to the board yesterday. We've been put some good hours on it, getting it ready. It looks pretty good. So, you know, if the board has any concerns, comments, or questions, please let me know, and we can get this draft finalized and over to the CFO of the town to get it approved for advertisement.
Mike, do you have have you had a chance to look at the scope?
I haven't. I will look at it in the next day or so. One thing that may be in there that I would like to bring up is I've had a conversation with a few communities that there are coastal, and one of the things that I'm finding out is ultimately when this document is approved, by the DEP, that it's not exactly the lightest lifting load. It's a fairly long process. And I would like to see on respondents to our RFQ/RFP as to what kind of access the respondents have to any kinds of firms that provide sort of the legal advice on the federal aspect of these permits and their extension. I'm finding that in fact it's difficult, it's complicated, and if these firms have access and have used legal firms to finalize the details of the particular permit that you get for the wastewater expansion, I'd like to know who they've used, and it would be, I would expect it would be part of their submittal as to some kind of quotation on what those firms get for that work, because we can't just sort of bundle that in. And I think it would then give us an opportunity based on what we would need legal advice on as to whether town council could provide that, or we need to go to that specialized counsel within the firm's access that we select.
So Tim, the document that we're looking over is a request for qualifications. So
Yes.
I think to Mike's point, if you could ask specifically what their qualifications are for that kind of work and how they would add them to their team, I think that's an excellent point.
Got it.
When you do an RFQ and you select the firm with the best qualifications, you then negotiate a fee and scope with them. And that could be something that's detailed in the fee and scope of the services that they provide, so that we have the option, if necessary, if town council feels it's better to go with someone, with federal regulation experience, we could then pull that option. But I think it should be in there so we know what that's going to entail.
Excellent.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, so Tim, I recommend you move forward as expeditiously as possible with this. And I want to alert Cody to the fact that the department has got several fairly large things going on. And so helping the department manage these, the comprehensive wastewater management plan, the efficiency study, and the storm debris management question be fairly important. And to the extent that your office can avoid or soften any additional work requirements that are outside these three areas of concern, I think it'd be a good idea, because we need to get this large grouping of work through the process here. And Public Works, even though they're a big department, they don't have that many people that can do this kind of work. So anyway,
That, Rob, is that I don't know if in Dartmouth they do it, but in other communities where I've been, legal takes a review on it with a document of this size, expediting the legal review. If in fact Dartmouth's going to do a look over it, I think is critical.
yeah, Cody, in your absence, by the way, welcome back. It's good to see you. In your absence, the departments had some project delays because the workload of town council has been such that the department's items have been shuffled and not been attended to in a timely manner. So that's an issue that we're sensitive to.
Yeah, that's
Right.
fine. And those things can come over to our office. We run through them, we review them, we procurement documents, and then, we have templates that we utilize, and then usually we'll reach out to council with particular questions on things if there's a gray area or something. But we're here to help. We're here to provide assistance, and Tim knows that. So send it over
Yeah.
our way, and we'll move it along.
Yeah. Well, we know, for example, that the town is going through or entering into contract negotiations, and that's a big deal. So it isn't that the department's working in a vacuum here.
No, of course not. No.
So, all right. Anything else on the comprehensive wastewater management plan? Hearing nothing, let's move on to item B, a discussion of storm debris management. Tim?
So I met with the director of the district a couple weeks ago in July. And we worked on about, I'd say, a quarter of a draft document for the debris management plan. So it's currently a working document, and we have another meeting scheduled and this month. And we plan to continue our work on that document to get a decent draft document that we can send to the board to review. And we've also working on looking at any state contracts for contractors, disaster response contractors, as well as rental equipment, large scale equipment for this type of management.
Yeah, the issue here is that without some thought and work, simply putting debris into the landfill will end its life with one storm. And so if there are places that we can temporarily store storm debris while we sort it and find the best end use or end location for it, I think that will definitely benefit the town. So
yeah, so it's pretty much looking at possible satellite transfer stations, so to speak, to sort material, even process some material, get it transferred to their end use locations without inundating either the landfill or the DPW full-time transfer station.
Mike, any comments or questions?
Yeah, one of the things that we find is that we sometimes run up on a shortage of organic material, specifically shredded brush and wood for the composting of our end product out of the wastewater plant. We may want to be looking at if in fact we have a large volume of this material, because what you do is you run it through a tub mill grinder and basically produce the same product it produced right now over there at the wastewater plant. Since it is hard to get that material, we might be wanting to look for a fairly large site where we could stockpile that so that we could be using it in the future for our wastewater sludge material composting.
Right. Good idea.
One of the things, Tim, and I don't know, it's Cody has stepped off the meeting, but I think internally amongst your divisions, if you haven't, maybe you should have a meeting scheduled fairly soon as to who's going to do what in the event we do get a hurricane. You've got all the materials, all the labor, and all the equipment all lined up from your end. I can always remember at this time of year we'd be doing those meetings, and DPW does 90% of the mop up after the hurricane. So
Yeah.
if there's any materials or equipment or labor or whatever you need, you can have that conversation with Cody so that they can plan ahead.
Just to let you know, I know Serped's working on an evacuation plan and for storms, and they'll be trying to finalize that towards I think September to get it out to the towns, and they will be also offering tabletops to communities.
All right. Anything else on this item? All right, let's move on then to discussion of the efficiency study. Tim, where are we on that?
So the select board has requested that we finalize the efficiency study through the Board of Public Works. And to date, Weston and Sampson have submitted a draft analysis and a draft report of staff interviews that, while not complete and it was lacking, we need to move towards a final report. And I think, you know, my view, and I've also discussed it with Ron as well, is that kind of the best data that we can produce is our metric data. So I think working with our staff to gather all of our metric data to put into a document for, you know, as we move forward to hire a consultant or work with our existing consultants, which is another decision we need to make. We can get, you know, all that metric data for them to, you know, and work on tabulating that data and getting that into the report as well. I think everybody feels that comparisons with other municipalities isn't really a huge component, because every community's, you know, some may operate similar, some may have one or two metrics that are similar, but no communities are the same, and it's tough to compare other communities with Dartmouth.
Mike, any comments?
Tim, on that, I'd like to see in that structure that the final report from the entity that provides it to us is that they do, like the Department of Revenue does in their community review reports, which I think are excellent, is that they make recommendations at the end of the report, specifically calling out the recommendation and how to proceed with it. That's very helpful. It makes it very easy for the policymakers in the community to take, you know, decisive action rather than trying to weed it out of, you know, what their conclusions are. And I
agree.
strongly encourage that maybe you make a phone call to the Department of Revenue, if in fact they're still doing those community studies, and see if they do they do subject specific within a community, like, you know, in our case, the Department of Public Works. I would imagine in the bigger towns they do that, but they had some very talented personnel there. I saw the report that they did for Dartmouth years ago. They did one for Mattapoisett. It's good stuff. I like it because it's in very straightforward, simplistic terms, and I think it's worth a call to them. And Cody probably has the contact information for those folks.
Yeah.
And just ask them whether or not they do task specific within a community.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. You know, any evaluation or study, you know, you want that conclusion summary to have any recommendations to, you know, to increase productivity or efficiency, or whether you're looking at, you know, the wastewater treatment plant, or you're looking at just the overall organization.
Yep. Thank you.
Tim, back to your comment about metrics. We've had discussions in the past about metrics, and other communities that develop and provide the metrics in a public facing website as a way to show the public that their tax dollars are well spent. And I'm a big supporter of that. And there are people on the finance committee that are supporters. So I think it'd be very useful to make that part of the study and perhaps begin providing that in some kind of form on the town's website.
Yeah, and they were our programs that they will have like a dashboard type
Yeah, right.
program that you can publish publicly, and then you can go through the different metrics. Yep,
Right.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else on this? Board members?
Oh, good.
Cody, any questions?
No, that's fine. I'll be sending you over a draft scope that we develop with the board, individual membership later this week.
Thank you. Anything from the public or from Public Works professional staff? There are a number of people who are on the line. So any feedback you have about this kind of a study or how to present the results to the public, make sure that Tim gets your input. This is important. All right, moving on. Tim, discussion of summer work hours.
So moving forward with this, with a request to adjust our summer work orders during the hot months from June to September, for mostly our solid waste and recycling curbside collection and construction division. I have received some additional feedback from Board of Health, Police Chief, even Cody, and everybody had a little concern with starting the work before 7 a.m. because we don't allow that of private companies, but we also realize that we're not picking up metal bins, we're picking up plastic bins and trash bags, so the noise is a lot lower than a lot of the private haulers and contractors. So also the concern with I think Cody had said we'll have to impact bargain it, so to look at the impacts of this on the staff in the bargaining units. So we'll reach out to the unions as well to see how if they have any comments on it. I know Chris from the Board of Health wasn't concerned about noise. He's more concerned about the safety of our staff, which is our concern as well. So I think we should be able to have something set for going into the summer for next year.
Tim, who regulates the private haulers? Is that the town?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure that they're licensed with any department in town. It's more of a Board of Health and noise bylaws and just kind of complying with the bylaws.
It just off the top of my head, it seems to me that mostly what we're talking about here is residential solid waste. And to the extent that the private haulers wish to begin or hold the same hours as the town for residential trash pickup, that seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and I think I think part of the bylaw was, that section of the bylaw was completed due to complaints, residential complaints.
Right.
So that's why they created the bylaw to regulate the schedule that they could work in town.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, Derek Martin, DPW. Just in Article 3, Rights of Management, just so you know, you do have the ability to determine the schedule and the hours of work and the assignment of the employees to work. So just so you know, that is in all of our union contracts. So you do have the right to rights of management to do that.
Right. And the key here is that management takes into account the input from the unions. This is
Absolutely.
key.
We always want to work together, but it is written in the
Right.
contract.
Right. If the union has a particular position on this, probably a good idea to get it to Tim. So he has that as part of the information as we move forward with this.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else on this one?
Yeah, on this one, what we need to look at, I think, is that if we're gonna do this, we're probably gonna have to establish that we do it for a period, let's say from July the 1st through August the 31st, so that folks know that instead of 7 o'clock, especially the ones that are hit right at 7 o'clock when the truck goes out, that we're going to be doing the pickup starting at 6 o'clock, let's say from July the 1st to August 1st. And the only reason is we're not going to be able to momentarily switch this around because people are going to get all confused.
Yes.
Is it 6 o'clock today because the temperature is 83 degrees, or is it 7 o'clock because it's 83 degrees? It's a short notice thing, but I think you could make this work if you established a period, let's say from July the 1st to August the 31st. We will be picking up starting at 6 o'clock. I think it gives it more consistency and the public knows better, because like I said at the last meeting, people don't put their bags out until right before 7 o'clock, those that are in close proximity for early pickup, because the crows and things all get in it and they tear it up and make a mess in the street. So I think the public would be fine with it, but I think we need a specific time period where this would be employed for the whole period.
Yeah, and it has to be consistent. I think that's key for the residents. Absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if it's approved, we'll set a date and advertise it and put it in the rules and regulations of the solid waste and the transfers and post it on the website on the specific time that we all agree upon, on the date to continue and end. It's agreed to.
All right. Any other comments? If not, we'll move to old business. I'm sorry, new business. The director contract. The board met in executive session, and the board has a contract that it will now consider recommending to the select board. Any discussion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I would make the recommendation that the Director of Public Works contract as final drafted between the work of Cody Haddad and Tim Barber, as we reviewed in executive session, is acceptable, and that we forward it to Cody for his board members' review.
So I have a motion by Mr. Gagne. The chair seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. So Tim and Cody, you folks will work with the select board on this and let us know what, if any, direct participation our board needs to have. All right.
Yeah, will do.
All right. If there are no other comments on that, our next item under new business B is a request for moratorium waiver, 38 Bliss Street. Tim?
All right. So Bliss Street is currently under moratorium on all road cuts until September 3rd of 2031. It was completed a full reconstruction in September of 2021. Mr. Azanera is here representing his client to request relief from this moratorium to construct a new 26-foot wide curb cut and driveway apron on Bliss Street to allow his client to construct an additional dwelling unit, ADU unit, detached, I recommend, this is approved, that the property owner hire a licensed right-of-way contractor to impact the pavement as least as possible, by cutting the granite curbing in place throughout the driveway opening and the 2 6-foot transitions on each side. They'll have to remove the existing sidewalk panels, regrade the driveway apron per DBW specifications, and then form and pour new concrete walkways within the driveway apron, which would meet the walkway through the driveway apron specifications from the DPW,
Any questions on this
as
one?
well as ADA compliance as well. Mr. Lee, as an error, is also here.
The only comment, first of all, nice to see our long-term former Board of Public Works Commissioner, Leaz Nera. It's been a while since I've seen you, and maybe I'll catch you in person sometime. I think based on the standards that Tim has just outlined, to create access to an ADU unit is reasonable, and I'm good with the recommendation of our superintendent.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Tim, what are the implications for the travel lanes on this road?
Let me bring that up. So the work is actually requested along Hemlock Street, right, Lee?
Yes.
On the Bliss Street property, and this is a short connector street between Bliss and Cove Road. Let's see if I can share my screen. All right, can you see that?
Yeah.
So this is in the green box. This is the property over here on this southern end of the property is where they're looking to access the property with a new curb cut and constructed an ADU unit. So there's not much impact to travel lanes. It's more, and it's not within, it doesn't appear to be within the setback for the intersection. So it'd be, like I said, it's down here in the south end of the property to meet setback from the property line and access the ADU. The sidewalk work would be within the public right of way, so any of that work would need to comply. And like I said, to have the least amount of impact on the existing pavement, that they cut everything in place. It should be able to work fine. There's a lot of times, curb is actually put in place and set at grade, for aesthetics. So I think if they do it correctly, it'll look good.
All right. Any other comments on this one? Does the applicant wish to make any comments?
I would just thank Tim and the board for entertaining our request. As somebody in public works for well over 30 years, I understand the reason for the moratoriums, but I think Tim recognizes a big difference between a curb cut and a utility cut across a road. So I appreciate the distinction. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion.
I would make the motion that we approve the request for Hemlock Street as outlined in the specifications and requirements made by our superintendent.
All right. I have a motion by Mr. Gagne. Chair will second the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Item is approved.
And Mr.
Thank you.
Lee,
Thank you very much.
Lee, while you're still here, I can, we can get together. I can get you the construction details for a typical curb cut with a concrete walkway through it. So
Right. Actually, I think I already have those for my sister's ADU project that I was
Okay.
helping out with.
Perfect.
Thank you.
excellent. You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, next item, new business item C, discussion of a sewer pump station bid. Tim?
Correct. So we had advertised the Ellsworth and Route 6 pump station upgrades to create capacity in the sewer system for the Preserve 40B project. The sewer pump station bid came in quite a bit higher than the estimate. So, we currently do not have the funding to move forward. So we're looking at possible funding, and we're also looking at sitting down with the design engineer. The bid we only received one bid on the project, one general bid, and I think of a project this size, you definitely want to see more than one bid or multiple bids on a project of this size. And it could be the timing of the advertisement. So we're going to sit down with the consultant engineer to discuss moving forward.
Tim, refresh my memory on this.
Yes.
How much is the preserve itself contributing to the cost of this lift station upgrade?
Their percentage, they're contributing $250,000 in two phases. 125, I think, at the beginning of construction of building permit, and another 125 towards their second phase.
And what did the bid come in at?
Just over $3 million.
$3 million. Wow. So this poses the question: the lift station that is there, I believe it's a Gorham Rupp style lift station.
Yeah.
It handles the capacity of what we had as beneficiaries to the project where we extended out to Lake Nokichoke.
Correct.
I don't know. I'm having a little bit of trouble sort of putting into my mind $250,000 versus a $3 million lift station cost. This speaks to the same issue I always seem to be getting into, and that is, what is the fair share of a project cost? That how many units are going in at the preserve?
288.
288. I'd like to see a count on how many beneficiaries are now in that. This is the Ellsworth station, correct?
It's both the Route 6 and Ellsworth.
Yeah, all right. So I'd like to see how many beneficiaries are in the existing system. And I would like to have that probably agended for the next meeting, so we have some kind of comparative discussion on existing beneficiaries serviced by the lift station that they paid for in their betterments versus what the 250 is going to add and the cost of the new construction. And I mean, basically, it sounds like there's going to be over $2.5 million, $2.7 million borne by the ratepayers. And we got to get into this issue and have a discussion on it.
So in the comprehensive permit, it was presented as to be funded through the general fund, not through the ratepayers, so it wouldn't impact the ratepayers. So what we did was, so we had come up with a cost for maintenance upgrades of $160,000 that the sewer enterprise would put towards the project as well.
Can you send me a financial breakdown?
Absolutely.
How you plan on addressing this cost? I'd like to do a little deeper dive in this.
Yeah, and there was also a portion of, I believe, $100,000 that would be funded through the Lincoln Park project as well. for their part in the upgrade.
Alright.
Okay. But I'll send you the breakdown.
When we did get a $2.1 million MassWorks grant.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so you've got 2.1 million coming from the state.
Yes.
Okay,
And along with a $250,000 grant towards nitrogen removal as part of the project,
thank you.
which increased that design increased the cost of the project, but it was also the cost was reduced by the 250 grant.
Thank you for sending me that financial information. That'd be helpful. Thank-
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Tim and Cody, I don't think I need to tell you that given the number of 40B projects we're looking at and their size and location, that this is not the first time we're going to see this issue. And fair allocation of costs is a huge problem with these projects. And it isn't just connection to the sewer system and treatment of wastewater. I'm very nervous about traffic in some of these projects and road upgrades that would be necessary, and also the implications to providing drinking water. So,
Yeah,
and I realize this.
Yeah.
I realize this is something that the town has only limited control over, but I think the upfront evaluations are really important.
Absolutely.
Yep, the team will be involved heavily. We had a meeting with our special counsel. Tim was there, and the key is we need to do our due diligence and provide the facts of where we are, where we stand, and what the challenges that lie ahead for proposed developments such as these are, and what can we do to mitigate those potentially some of those things. So. We're on it. We're going to bring in a full team of peer reviewers along with our internal staff to make sure we're reviewing these projects.
Yeah, and if I could be kind of blunt about this, where would we be if we didn't have the grant from the state? I mean, that's kind of I think what Mike is asking. So we need to deal with that issue and across the various issue areas that relate to town services. I don't know how to judge other town services, but I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, I would recommend, Mike obviously knows a lot about this, but Chapter 40B is it's tough for communities. So if you have an opportunity to read up on 40B, it's in the requirements of it, particularly regarding municipalities. And if a ZBA were to deny that a comprehensive permit application and it gets appealed, the history isn't great in municipalities' favors. And then if it gets beyond the local zoning board of appeals, it can become what's called an unfriendly 40B, and then we lose almost all control. So it's tough, but we're certainly going to attack it from every way we can with our team.
Now, do you have a process that you go through to brief the ZBA on the importance of their deliberations and the need to link closely the elements of the project with their necessary findings?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our special counsel will be at all meetings and has started meeting with them individually to provide just information such as what you just mentioned, procedural things and things to take into consideration when they deliberate.
Yeah, about a year and a half ago, we had a project that, because of a change in use, needed to go before the ZBA, and it had real implications to Public Works. And I got the impression that the project would have been approved had Public Works not stood up and raised concerns, and we were able to address those concerns. But I was left with the impression that sometimes these projects go through the process, and some of the departments that are affected either aren't aware or aren't brought into the process early enough. So I want to, I want to be careful of that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's brought in our permitting system, particularly with ZBA projects, automatically alerts all the departments of what's being applied for, and the plans are there, everything's there, and that's the point of it. We want that feedback. Obviously, with a larger project like this, we're going to have peer review consultants in addition to our team. But even with the smaller projects, all the departments are notified. Tim's always getting notifications on these things.
Right. Any other comments or questions, board members?
Rob, we, in a non-40B project, in reading the recent report relative to the units on Dartmouth Street, specifically, I think my recollection is like on page 7 of that report. We've got this specific issue where they're making a recommendation, which prompts the question, who's going to pay for that particular infrastructure improvement as it relates to one of our lift stations?
Well, my concern with Dartmouth Street, that project seems to have advanced fairly quickly, and some details were not worked out well. And Tim, do they have a permit for connecting to the sewer yet? Have they figured out where they're going to go and what it's going to take?
No, yeah, we have, we had a discussion regarding, additional discussion regarding trash disposal, garbage disposal, and sinks, and the impact of those on our system. And they decided that, rather than forego the installation on that, they're going to move forward with installing garbage disposals as they do in most of their units, or all the units. So we had sent that back to Stantec, and Stantec worked on an addition to the report for the impact of that, and has sent it over. I can send it to the board so they can read the final report from Stantec.
So, to the public, this may sound like insider baseball, but whether or not these units have disposals, garbage disposals, makes a huge difference to how much oxygen demand there is at the wastewater treatment facility, and also makes a difference in the design and operation of the pump stations. So these kinds of details really need to be sorted out much earlier in the process. And I get the feeling, and this is my sense, this isn't what's maybe really going on, but the project proponents are moving fast, and they're focused on completing their project, and they're not as sensitive to some of the details that matter to Public Works. And somehow they need to be made more sensitive, and somehow Public Works needs to be involved earlier on in these projects to work on these details. And whether it's a 40B project or any, over 55 or anything, big projects, it seems to me that details need to be better worked on. That's my experience.
And those impacts go beyond just the pump station and the BOD. Also, it impacts the sludge, the amount of sludge that we handle. Also impacts, a lot of times, with food debris, there's also grease. So it impacts clogs in the system as the grease cools and solidifies in the system. There are additional clogs and backups that we have to deal with. And then, as you said, the pump stations, the abrasiveness and additional solids handled by the pump stations require additional maintenance as well.
Tim, the final sewer connection permit from your agency, is that subject to review and a vote by the Board of Public Works?
It can be.
I really think this is an example of a non-40B project.
Correct.
And there, as they would say, there's a lot of there are a lot of things that are up in the orbit right now on this. And you've raised some good ones. I think the report raises some good issues. And my expectation would be that the conditions and the requirements, we have an opportunity as a board to look at before that permit is issued. So I would ask specifically something of this caliber, that we have this opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in a broader sense, this is not intended to make the town appear to be a hostile environment for development. I think all of us understand that housing is essential, and that more affordable housing is a really good idea in all areas, including ours. But it needs to be done right, and it needs to be done in a way that it doesn't disadvantage existing residents or cause problems with the permits that we have to adhere to. And some of this stuff reaches convenience, or, you know, if a street has to be torn up or extensive work done to deal with a candle in the sewer connection system, or if we violate permits and we're suddenly under sanctions, you know, these are real concerns. And again, this is not to make Dartmouth appear to be a hostile place for development, but rather that it gets done right so that we get a reputation to maintain the services and the quality of life that people who live here feel are important.
Yeah, and we have a job to protect the ratepayers
Right.
from increased maintenance that's just an impact from one development, you know, so where, you know, they pay the impact, you know, in the maintenance for the system through the rates. And you know, as these impacts get higher, the costs are higher, and we distribute through the ratepayers. So, you know, we need to keep them in mind and protect them as well from spiking rates.
Thank you.
Anything else on this?
No.
All right. So Tim, embedded in our discussion is a request for information about a couple of existing projects, and you'll come back to us with an update on the sewer pump station bid.
Correct.
All right. Any other discussion on this item?
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll move on to committee updates. Tim, do you have anything for committee updates?
I do not.
All right, I do. The Large Capital Projects Committee has set some public workshops in September, including one for Public Works large capital projects. And I've taken it upon myself as a member of that committee to work with the committee on how the presentations are done and what kind of information is made available to the public. I circulated a draft presentation. This is it's in PowerPoint format, but we can basically present this any way we think is most effective. The thinking of the committee is that a presentation of 10 to 15 minutes with breaks allowing for questions, and then a discussion session afterwards is an appropriate format given the kinds of information we're trying to provide to the public. Embedded in here is a recognition that public works programs are broad in scope, and the information that is necessary to inform the public about what the Public Works Department does and how it's funded is pretty rich. So I think that I'm assuming that we have a brief presentation, but that we also have a 1 or 2 page information sheet summarizing some of the key data for Public Works, having to do with the services and the costs and how where the funding comes from. So that's my my introduction. Tim, we have a one board member, I'm sorry, one board meeting about a week before this presentation is to be made, the third Thursday. So we have an opportunity to come back before the board and fine tune the presentation. But at this point, I'd like to have some, either some input in this meeting or some comments through Tim, so that what we look at at our September meeting is pretty close to what we want to give to the public. So,
Rob, I think you make some very good points there, and I think the very important one is that we put together, or should I say, Tim puts together a written document to submit that summarizes his presentation. And I would ask Tim that when you do put your report together, that you add the issue of handicap accessible sidewalks. And also, I know you have very good information on your roads and the cost and the age of the roads. And I think that the issue of the roads and the insufficiency of Chapter 90 and other funds to address roads and road repaving be identified in there. That should be in a capital plan, because the communities I've been with, I've just seen roads that are deteriorating to the point where you can't bring them back without full depth reclamation, and that's when you really get costly.
It's expensive. Yep.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
all right, any other comments? So Mike, anything you want in here, just work with Tim.
I will.
And we'll continue to bring this as close as we can for the board to see in September.
Great.
Any other committee comments, Tim or Cody?
But I can't say that, I reached out to the tree committee. The tree committee is working on the tree bylaw with town council currently for the fall meeting. And I added a request on maintenance of trees that are planted on private property that impact the right of way, whether it's a sidewalk or the actual roadway itself, or just, they impact the right of way. That should have some language on maintenance, private maintenance in that, because we see a lot of trees that are planted within the right of way as they mature. I mean, that are planted on private property, as they mature, they do impact the right of way, and the town is forced to go out there and maintain it if there are either accessibility issues or site issues. So that's it.
Tim, will that proposed language be before the board in September?
The bylaw?
Yeah.
I can look at the tree committee, see what they have for an update with town council, and see if we can get it for our September meeting.
Yeah, I think before it gets before the before town meeting, we ought to have a look at it.
Tim, who did you ask to add that section in?
There was an email with the tree committee. So it was Ian, Ruth. Not sure who else was on that email.
All right, that's fine. I'll circle back with them. I just sent them an email this morning, so that makes sense.
All right, thank you.
Tim,
Okay, anything? Yes.
Tim, did you get an appropriation with your operating budget for tree replacement?
I did.
With the disease and the die-off of the ash and the Norway maple, I think it's imperative that some kind of replanting is done.
Oh, absolutely. We've had many years of tree removal with kind of a lack of replacement. So, and I also working with Eversource. We try to try to get them when they're doing a large removal project to replace some trees along the way as well. So,
Good.
and then working with the tree committee, they do work on grant opportunities as well for tree planting.
Great, thank you.
Well,
Back to our discussion of metrics. This is a real good one for to track how many trees are planted.
absolutely.
All right. If there are no other issues with committee updates, Tim, director update.
All right, so we can run right into road maintenance. We're almost complete with our summer road maintenance projects. The last few roads are being paved today and tomorrow, and should be hopefully completed tomorrow. Then we'll work on a fall road maintenance program. We did have one issue on a road where, you know, we do provide notice ahead. So notice it goes on the website and goes out to social media, and I continuously update the calendars that I get from highway with Cody and his office, so they can post those daily calendars for the road work. And every road that we go out to, the highway department will hand out individual notices to every house along the street that we're doing work on that street, and that there is no parking. Fortunately, we had one street that was impacted. It had a few cars that were parked on the road, one on the sidewalk, and unfortunately, we were told we didn't have enough notice by the police department, and they refused to enforce the parking. So we actually had to demobilize, and luckily, we were able to mobilize to another street. We almost lost about 400 ton of mix, which is about $55,000 worth of mix. But they were able to break down the equipment and move it. But so our highway department is just buying more barrels and signage, and we're gonna really get them out there on these projects. But in the past we haven't had a problem with parking enforcement. So
Yeah, that actually cost us 3 days. Pushed us by in 3 days because of that move. We had to come back, Tim, remember?
Yep.
And we extended to this week. So it cost us 3 days and pushed the schedule for 3 days. And what we're doing now, Tim knows that the police department told us they require 72 hours notice, and what I do is I date the location, and I keep them on schedule, and the homeowners are each individually notified 3 days and 4 days ahead of time, a specific road being paved. The one that was really impacted that should have been enforced was the car that was parked in the sidewalk and along the curb line, which that's an MGL, that's a no-brainer. That is supposed to obstruct the public access, and still was allowed. And luckily, like Tim said, we were able to cut and move over and save that day and keep production going over. But I really don't like having a joint the way we left that, but it is what it is. We got it done.
So in the end, it impacts the quality, of the road surfacing, and delays and costs.
Tim, I think one of the things that would be very helpful for the public's edification is that maybe you could have Jen work on a press release to give the Dartmouth News on the streets that are encompassed in both this particular period and the fall period, and to show the value of how much is contributed. I know you got some money through town meeting, I believe last fall. You have your chapter 90, and you should value what the Eversource overlay values are, so the public gets an understanding that this work is extremely expensive. It's in the multiple millions of dollars. I hear people say, when my street going to get paved? Well, I think you show them the list and how you're working on a priority list and how it's based on age and what the cost is. I think it goes a long ways. And Kim, I think our first name's Kim, over at Dartmouth News is very good with those stories. If you're able to feed some pictures and some, text in a press release, that would be great. And the same thing with the South Coast Today. They do. You feed them a press release and pictures, they'll run a story there.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, and we should make, we need to, I guess, put out there that, for a temporary inconvenience, the road's getting reconstructed and, it's a temporary inconvenience, ask that you comply and work with us to get these roads completed.
Okay, any other items?
I'll also be, trying to set up a meeting with traffic safety and the chiefs and try to see what we need to move forward and get them on board as well.
Right. Tim, other items?
Along with road maintenance, just the Route 6 from Fons Corner Road to Hathaway Road project looks like the design's at about 75% now, and they're looking at 100% design submittal around December. And then I'm not sure where that puts them for advertising that project, but it should be sometime in sometime in 26.
And what kind of public meetings or public information efforts do you expect?
I'm not sure if they held or they will hold any other public meetings. They did hold the public notification meeting back in the 25% design stage.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think now they move on to advertise the project and bid it.
It seems to me that that project's been both of public concern and isn't exactly what it started out to be. You might have a conversation with Mass DOT about some kind of a public workshop in the fall, maybe winter timeframe, just so people have a chance to see what's coming. I think it'd be really unfortunate if the crews showed up and started doing work and the public had no idea what was going on or what it was going to look like when it gets done.
Yep.
Okay, Tim, other items?
Mike, on this, in the design that you have seen, Mass DOT, are they doing any pretreatment of stormwater contribution into the Pascamantic River? I know there's a pretty good sized pipe that drains, I think, from Hathaway Road back to by the Midas Muffler and from Fons Corner the other way. I'm hoping with the issues you identified in one of your previous reports that they're doing something with that.
Yeah, I'll have to look out. I have a meeting coming up with VHB who's doing the design, so I'll look at that a little further. I know they, one of the holdups of the project, one of the long delays was the structure, which was the bridge structure across over the Pascamantic that they are designing to replace. So I know that was one of the delays, but I'm not sure about the pre-treatment of the stormwater into the Pascamantic.
With the town owning the Smith Mills Park there on the west side of the Pascamantic,
Sure.
The parking lot area that they have there would be an excellent location for some pre-treatment chambers. If it can be engineered, we should look at that, and then you could put the gravel parking lot back on top of it. But those things require space, and to put them in roadways is a big deal. But certainly, if VHB is looking at that, the possibility of use of that area won't change the primary use of what that area is for.
I will. I'll definitely look into that and I'll report back.
Okay, any other questions on the DOT project? Tim?
Nope.
Okay, next item.
We've been working on the compensation and reclassification project throughout the town. On I think July 8th and 9th, we had an orientation with Human Resource Services, which is a consultant that the town hired to complete the study. And the first phase of the study was position and analysis questionnaires that were to be filled out by all staff in town, basically outlining their position and all the tasks that they are tasked with daily, and prioritizing those and percentage of that work that's done each day. And about a 5-page report, and that was due at the end of July. With a large department like DPW, it was to us, it was kind of rushed because it was a large task that, we have 75 to 80 staff, that have to complete this and get it reviewed and submitted. So in the middle of construction season and operating DPW, it was a tough task to get done, but all the staff worked together. The department heads worked with the staff. It was great teamwork, getting it all completed and getting it submitted. I had asked for a short extension, so we got it in, I think, 2 days after the deadline, and Jen and Sandy had worked on organizing the full package to make it easier and efficient for HR. So and we got it all in and on pretty much on time. Now we wait for the review of those, and then the next phase. Moving on. The vehicle policy, which was had been approved by the select board on June 20th, had been sent out for all staff to sign. I had originally asked for a draft of the policy prior to it being approved. I was told that we'd get it when it's approved, like everyone else. Our concerns is, the DPW has the most vehicles in town, and so we have a pretty good sized fleet, and we have the most drivers in town that drive town vehicles. So we really felt that we deserved to see a draft of that scope. And then they wanted everybody to sign it, and if everyone didn't sign it, nobody could drive a town vehicle, which also had concerns with anything from solid waste pickup to emergency response, and everything in between. But since then, they've extended the deadline. They're looking for comments on the policy by the end of this week, so they can look at any comments and possibly revise the policy. Also, the two DPW unions, I think, had recommended that the staff not sign it until they review it, because they felt they deserved to review it as well. So that's on the table as well, waiting for comments from the unions. So I have a few comments I'll be addressing by tomorrow as well. I'll send them in.
Tim, what were there any particular events that drove the need for a different policy?
I'm not sure. I know the DPW had a policy back years ago, but I'm not sure if there are any specific events. We weren't really notified of anything. It was just we were just handed the policy, so there was no information with it on past events or trigger events.
Okay.
So
Mike,
Rob, I can give you a little bit of background. This was done before I got here, so I was handed the policy when I started. But the premise of it really is, you know, the town as a whole has hundreds of vehicles. We're a
Mhm.
large entity, and there was no centralized policy on how these vehicles were governed. So that it really was just we need to get something. We need to get something in place. You know, these are millions and millions of dollars in assets that our employees are using on a regular basis, and we want to make sure that everything's being applied equitably, and there's a standard across the board. So that's really the reason for it.
Yeah, I don't have any particular argument with that. It just seems that it came through initially um, as a policy that didn't recognize some of the nuances of public employees needing vehicles for legitimate reasons under unusual circumstances. So I was a little surprised at what it looked like at first, but if as long as everybody agrees to it, particularly the folks that may need to use vehicles short term or under emergency circumstances, um, you know, I hate to bring on bad things, but I always imagine how policies are applied before, during, and after a hurricane. I mean, that's kind of my gold standard. So, Tim, you know, I trust that you folks, that's, you know, one of the things you're considering as you give feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And our concern, we have a lot of on-call staff that need vehicles to respond to situations. So, and that's one of our concerns that wasn't completely outlined. So
All right. Anything else on this?
that's it for now.
Okay. Any other items?
Just let you know we have our update signs in installation. So we have rectangular rapid flashing beacon signs that are being built, and they should be shipped into town shortly, and they will be coming into town to help assist with the installation on Bridge Street. We have staff that has been installing some signposts already for the signs, and also the other signs that accompany with any crosswalk signs any preparation that was needed. We had to do some tree trimming and stuff. So our staff's been working on that, and we also have we did install a couple advisory speed limit signs along Elm Street, and I believe we have one going in on Bridge Street as well.
Good. I think, I hope people are paying attention. Maybe this would be a good news item.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other items?
Lastly, so we have staffing. So we have we have a new HMEO staff coming in, a new old, I guess, HMEO who previously worked for the town and the DPW, and he's coming back to work for us, and who will be starting on Monday. So, and we're also working with a second HMEO applicant to get him hired. So that'll bring tally down to 2 vacant HMEO positions and 2 vacant SMEO positions, among a vacant associate engineer position and others. But so we're dwindling down the vacancies in town in the DPW. So.
Okay.
Also, we the second billing clerk position that I worked about 4 years on trying to get that filled, and was told no. We finally advertised that position in-house last week, and that position should be advertised outside, and hopefully we'll have a new billing clerk in short time as well.
All good news. Mike,
Mr. Chairman, Derek Martin, DPW again. I just want to commend Cody and the new HR director. It's been, a little bit of a problem in the past getting through what we had to. Obviously, we've known And with the new people in place, it's really been a pleasure working with them. They've been communicatable, they've been with us, and it's very, very helpful getting our staff and working together. So again, I just want to put that out there. And again, they've been a wonderful team to work with.
Yeah, and you know, they're really on top of everything, and they want to work with us 100% and prioritize everything. So they're doing a great job.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Absolutely.
All right, Tim, any other items?
That's it for now.
Okay. Cody, thank you for joining us today. I know you guys are really busy, and I appreciate your time here.
Oh, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah,
All
thank you,
right.
Cody.
Mike,
All right, we'll see you. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Wait, board, should we adjourn?
Mike,
One thing I wanted to follow up on, I know at our last meeting, I brought up the issue of my concern on the amount of people that go to the transfer station on Saturday. And I know Tim was gonna discuss with Paul Pacheco the issue of coverage over there. My concern stems from they are so busy that in fact I see things that are tossed in the MSW bins that are going to Crapo Hill that shouldn't be in there. And we all know the fall gets even busier up there because everybody's cleaning out space to put their car back in the garage for the winter. So can we get an update on that, Tim?
Yeah, Paul, do you have an update on that? Or Derek? So I sent it to Paul a couple weeks ago. I think he was going to work on adding an additional staff member at the transfer station on Saturdays, just on Saturdays for now. I'm not sure if it happened this past Saturday or not, but I can get an update to you.
All right, that would be really good because I happen to go there also on Saturday and contribute to the large number that are there. And it's a big concern. And the other days don't seem to be as problematic. But Saturday they could use an extra hand.
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
all right, if there are
Seems like
no other items for
available
discussion,
yeah.
I would make a motion that we adjourn the Board of Public Works meeting for August the 14th, 2025.
we have a motion to adjourn from Mr. Gagne. The chair will second. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Chair votes yes. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your time.